Welcome to the deep dive. You know how every so often a wave of updates hits that just completely changes how you think about cloud work?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it feels like the last couple of weeks on Google Cloud Platform were exactly that. We're not just talking about running a model anymore. It feels like we're delegating entire jobs to like an AI workforce.
That's the perfect way to put it. The central theme, if you look at everything that dropped, is this massive push toward agentic AI.
Yeah.
AI that doesn't just give you an answer, but actually does things, complex, multi-step things all on its own. And what's really interesting is how GCP is putting this power everywhere, from networking to security to data pipelines.
And making it accessible.
Exactly, making it accessible to, the everyday practitioner.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We've pulled out the most important needle-moving changes from the sources. We're going to look at development, security, and data, and really break down what all this means for you and your actual day-to-day work on Google Cloud.
Moving past the press release buzzwords.
Yeah, exactly. We want to get to the application. Okay, so let's jump right in at the core, at AI development itself, and talk about making things faster and easier to use. The deepened partnership between Google Cloud and Hugging Face seems like a really big deal for anyone using open source models.
It has immediate, tangible benefits. First off, just pure speed. Google Cloud is rolling out caching on its main platforms.
Okay.
So on Vertex AI, that's their all-in-one machine learning platform. And on Google Kubernetes Engine, or GKE.
Their managed Kubernetes service.
Right. So this caching just means way faster download times for models and datasets from Hugging Face, less waiting around.
That's a nice practical win. But what really jumped out at me was the hardware side of things. They're bringing native support for TPUs for all open models.
Yes.
And TPUs are Google's own custom chips for AI, right? They're super fast.
They are, and making them natively available for all open models on Hugging Face is huge. It just lowers the barrier to entry. You don't have to compromise on power just because you're using an open source model.
And I'm guessing there's a security angle, too.
Oh, for sure. When you deploy these models through Vertex AI, you automatically get Google Cloud's security protocols baked right in. So you're starting from a much safer place.
Okay, so that's about running models. Let's pivot to actually building these autonomous workers. The updates to the Vertex AI Agent Builder seem to be all about getting agents ready for production.
Yeah, the focus is definitely on making that first step easier. The Agent Development Kit, the ADK, now supports more languages, and this is the key part. It has single command deployment.
Oh, that's nice.
It just removes a ton of friction when you're trying to get a prototype off the ground.
Hmm.
But maybe even more important for, real-world use are the new tools in the Agent Engine, or AE.
Which is for what? Monitoring.
Exactly. New observability, tracing, and evaluation tools. You can't really trust an autonomous system if you can't see what it's doing or how it's making decisions. This gives you that insight.
And you need to be able to set some firm boundaries for them.
Absolutely. Security is getting much tighter. They're introducing native agent identities and stronger safeguards, and it all integrates with the Security Command Center, which is GCP's big centralized security and risk dashboard.
Precisely. So your agents are operating within your existing security framework with least privilege right from the start.
Okay, this next one is where things get, a little wild. Where the AI really starts to feel like it's part of the team. I'm talking about Gemini Code Assist on GitHub getting persistent memory.
This is a game changer.
Right. If you've ever spent years repeating the same feedback on pull requests like, please use snake case here, or we need better error handling for this library, this is for you.
It solves that exact problem. This persistent memory thing lets the system actually learn your team's specific coding standards. It securely stores generalized rules it figures out from all the PR comments and feedback.
But only after the PR is approved, right?
Correct. So it learns from the final consensus. It's like turning all your team's code review effort into a living, evolving AI-style guide. So when it makes a suggestion on a new PR, it's not just some generic best practice.
No, it's based on your team's learned culture. It just drives consistency and probably saves hours of arguments.
So we've seen how AI is helping build things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how it's helping protect and deploy all that work. Because it really feels like the fight between attackers and defenders is now being fought with AI on both sides.
It is, 100%. And Google is leaning into that with the new Emerging Threat Center in Google Security Operations. And the speed here is what's just incredible.
How does it work?
So it's powered by Gemini, and it basically acts like a super fast detection engineer. It pulls in all the latest threat intel from Mandiant, VirusTotal, you name it. Then it generates simulated attacks to see where you're vulnerable.
And then.
It automatically closes the detection gaps. It just drastically cuts down the time from threat discovery to active defense.
But the bad guys are getting smarter too. The Cloud CISO reports were pretty clear on that. Threat actors are using LLMs to create malicious commands on the fly.
And using social engineering to get past AI safeguards. Yeah. Means the infrastructure itself has to be incredibly robust, which is why the updates to GKE for AI workloads are so important.
This is the stuff from KubeCon 2025, right? The agent sandbox.
Exactly.
So why do we need a special sandbox? GKE already has container isolation.
Because agents are different. They're not just running a simple service. They're performing complex computations, executing code, maybe making external calls with higher permissions. The agent sandbox is a specialized environment built with things like gvisor and Kata containers.
For extra security.
That super strong isolation.
Yeah.
And make sure that if an agent does get compromised or just goes rogue, the blast radius is tiny. It's contained and kept far away from your core cluster.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's talk about pure performance. There was a really clever infrastructure trick mentioned for running LLMs better on GKE.
Yes. This is a classic bit of engineering genius to get around hardware limits. So LLMs have a memory, right? It's where they store the conversation context. It's called the key value cache, or KV cache.
And that usually lives in the GPU memory.
Right, in the super fast, but also super expensive and very limited GPU high bandwidth memory, the HBM. So limited memory means shorter conversations, slower responses.
So what's the trick?
The new method is tiered storage. It basically says, why are we keeping this whole giant conversation on the most expensive real estate? They expand the KV cache into cheaper, bigger memory pools, like the main CPU RAM and even local SSDs.
Ah, like giving the AI a massive, cheaper notepad.
That is the perfect analogy. And that bigger cache means LLMs can handle way longer contexts, which improves throughput and, importantly, the time to first token, how fast the AI starts talking back to you. It's a huge win.
And just to round out GKE, managing it from the command line is getting easier too.
Yeah, the new Gemini CLI extension for GKE is pretty cool. It just lets you use plain English in your terminal. Operators can use natural language prompts to, run complex workflows without having to memorize a million YAML configurations. All right, let's shift over to the world of data, because this is where AI really goes from being a developer's assistant to a data analyst's superpower. It's all about simplifying these really complex workflows inside BigQuery.
And BigQuery is Google Cloud's huge serverless data warehouse.
Exactly. And now we're seeing agents that can automate the most painful parts of data engineering.
You're talking about the new data engineering agent.
I am. It's in preview, powered by Gemini.
Yeah.
And it lets engineers just automate all that repetitive stuff. Building pipelines, preparing data, troubleshooting. You just tell it what you want in natural language.
So it takes the plumbing out of the job.
Totally. It frees people up to think about the actual architecture.
And what about working inside of SQL? Usually if you want to classify data or score something, you have to make these complicated calls to an external service.
Not anymore. This is a huge deal. The new managed AI functions build generative AI right into your SQL queries. It's a game changer because you don't have to move data around or spend ages tuning prompts.
So what can you do with it?
Well, there are 3 new functions in preview. AI.if lets you do semantic filtering. AI Classify can categorize, say, thousands of customer feedback comments in a single query.
Wow.
And AI Score can rank things based on natural language criteria, not just numbers.
This all feels like the logical next step for vector search, too.
It's simplification in action. BigQuery is moving vector search to this native serverless model. So you don't have to manage a separate vector database or all that extra infrastructure anymore. It's just a native function.
Okay, moving up the stack to business intelligence, Looker Conversational Analytics is now generally available. And Looker is GCP's big BI platform. How good is this integration with Gemini?
It's powerful because it's built on Looker's trusted semantic layer. So users can ask questions in natural language, but the AI is still constrained by your predefined business logic. The answers are trustworthy.
Any standout features?
Yeah, 2 things. You can now analyze data across multiple domains at once, up to 5 different Looker explorers. And there's a transparency feature that shows you exactly how the AI calculated the answer. You get the speed of AI with the verifiable audit trail.
We also saw a good case study that reminds us that even with all this amazing AI, the basics, just raw scale, still really matter.
Absolutely. The Waze case study was a perfect example. They modernized their session server using memory store for Redis cluster.
Which is Google's managed scalable Redis service.
Right. And it was handling over 1 million commands a second with super low latency. It just proves that all these advanced AI tools still need to sit on top of rock-solid, high-performance infrastructure.
So if I'm a practitioner and I'm just starting out with all this automation stuff, do I have to jump straight into the deep end with the complex agent development kit? Or are there easier ways to start?
That's a great question, and you have choices, which is fantastic. The documentation actually highlights that sometimes the simplest path is just using existing services. Like there are great guides on hosting N8N, which is a really popular open source automation tool on Google Cloud Run.
Cloud Run, that's the service for just running containerized apps without managing servers.
Exactly. For a lot of workflows,
Yep.
that's the fastest way to get something up and running.
And I saw there was also some advice about managing complexity as you grow.
Yes, the whole subagents versus single agents question. As your task gets more complex, do you keep piling more and more tools onto one giant agent, or do you break it up into a team of specialized smaller agents? The new resources kind of give you a framework for making that call. So when you step back, the big takeaway from this whole deep dive is pretty clear. Google Cloud is moving, and moving fast, toward an agent-first architecture.
Mm-hmm.
The platform is just abstracting away all the underlying complexity. Whether it's a GKE cluster or a giant BigQuery table, they want you to be able to manage it with natural language and intent.
For me, the most exciting part is just how much easier the whole process of building these automated apps has become. Whether you use the really specialized ADK or you just put something simple on Cloud Run, this level of automation is becoming truly democratized.
So what does this all mean for your strategy going forward? The fact that they're embedding security, really advanced security, like the agent sandbox and the emerging threats that are right into the AI tools, suggests something interesting. It suggests that the biggest challenge soon won't be building your AI workforce.
It'll be managing
It'll
it.
be making sure that this digital team is securely governed and that you can trust it. So the provocative thought we want to leave you with is this. What new internal governance, what new trust mechanisms will you need to build in your own organization to manage your coming team of software agents?
That gives us a lot to think about. Thanks for joining us for this essential deep dive into the latest on Google Cloud Platform. We'll catch you next time.